Ukraine is paying a heavy price for every meter of its land recaptured from Russian control. The counteroffensive, which began in June 2023, has so far failed to deliver Putin's forces a knockout blow.
There was a lot of hope for the counteroffensive. I think by all accounts, it's fair to say that it hasn't gone entirely to plan.
Can new weapons tip the balance in Ukraine's favour in the months to come, or will Putin's war of attrition grind on indefinitely? The long wait for Ukraine's counteroffensive in the south and east gave Russia time to dig in, and hopes that modern tanks would bring about a swift advance never materialized.
My name's Mia Yankovic and I'm a senior news reporter. Russia's defences there are really strong. The Ukrainians seem to have switched to an infantry-led tactic where they're attempting basically to try and almost go through on foot, supported by artillery fire. Ukraine is now potentially the most mined country on earth, and they're trying to get through all of this while under the constant surveillance of reconnaissance drones.
Yet, slowly, Ukraine is advancing, using longer-range weapons to target Russian artillery positions and logistics hubs, while infantry painstakingly clear minefields and Russian trench lines.
And they are instead having to go almost tree line to tree line, road to road, village to village, in order to make slow but steady gains.
There are fears the onset of winter may grind this momentum to a halt.
Classically, winter tends to slow down warfare. The ground is either impassable because it's too wet and it's muddy, or it's frozen over and it's hard to dig trenches, and typically things slow down at that point.
Cutting-edge weaponry has helped Ukraine in recent months, and there's the prospect of more on the way.
There's been quite a lot of different technology passed over to Ukraine from Western allies. A Storm Shadow Scalp missile from the UK and France. This is a cruise missile with the capability of striking into the Russian space. Another example would be the very controversial gift of cluster munitions. It has the potential to leave small bomblets unexploded around the country long after the conflict is over. It's very useful for doing exactly what it needs to do right now, which is to be firing on artillery, infantry, moving vehicles, exactly the kind of ground fight that it's engaged in right now.
The United States has agreed to supply F-16 fighter jets. NATO countries are training Ukrainian pilots to fly them.
It's not as simple as just giving Ukraine F-16s, unfortunately, but there's a really long lead time getting things like F-16s and then being able to use them. And in truth, they're probably not relevant to this counteroffensive at this point.
Both sides are locked in an arms race to produce enough ammunition and drones, as well as train enough soldiers to tip the balance in their favour.
There's no silver bullet for the landscape of this war. As one analyst told me, there is no single weapon that can win a war.
Western allies have promised unwavering support for Ukraine, but a change in American politics could jeopardise that.
We know that Zelensky and Biden have a great relationship, and I don't think the resolve is wavering in any sense in the White House right now. If the composition of the House changes towards the more right-leaning factors within the Republican Party, you have this potential for the US to be sending over much less military support to Ukraine.
After the failed mutiny by Yevgeny Prigozhin, leader of the mercenary Wagner Group, the prospect of Russian internal politics playing a part in this conflict is still very real.
What's happened with Wagner in the last few months is really interesting in terms of the future of the conflict. The rebellion was a huge embarrassment to Putin, but ultimately he has allegedly taken out the major threat in the form of Prigozhin himself, and that may actually have cemented his power. No one can know what's in Putin's mind, but what he may be hoping for at this point, with the kind of slow attritional warfare that we're undergoing, would be to simply wear down the Ukrainian troops by defending what he already has, essentially trying to buy time in order to keep Ukrainian forces just coming at him until they've spent their abilities to fight.